Welcome back to another episode of Your Money, Your Mission, the podcast designed to turn complex financial situations into actionable advice, powered by Johnson Financial Group. I'm your host, Kelly Mold, and today our topic is fraud. To delve into this very important subject with me is Todd Schaefer, Johnson Financial Group's Chief Risk Officer. Todd oversees enterprise risk management, corporate and information security. Todd is also a certified fraud examiner, certified bank auditor, and certified in risk management assurance. Thank you so much for being here today, Todd.
Thank you, Kelly. Happy to be here.
So I don't think a day goes by where we don't hear about a company being hacked, a new fraud scam, a breach of company's data. It's really become a significant issue for companies everywhere. Can you share with me a little bit about the industries that are most targeted and maybe how that's also impacting customers?
Yeah, so the primary and number one company that gets attacked is the financial services. The value in banking credentials is significant. If they can get access to your accounts, take your money, that's where they want to be. So it starts with the financial information. Number two is email. If you can get access to someone's email, you can get access to personal information. You can use that email to further other attacks, maybe breach their own contacts, things like that. And then third are the e-commerce, payment, retailers, things like that. Again, the idea is getting the credit card information, getting you to input it, stealing that information. So while all these companies get attacked to try to get hordes of data, in your personal life, it's the same thing. They're going to come at you with those things to try to get you to give up some information and primarily steal from you is ultimately the goal in most of these scams that are out there.
Kind of the same reason why Dillinger was robbing banks, right? That's where the money was.
That's where the money
and
is.
that's where they're doing. So are there things that companies are doing to try to protect them, to protect themselves and their clients?
Sure. I mean, from a security perspective, companies do all kinds of different things. We educate our employees on what to look for. We certainly have all kinds of technology to try to block and prevent malicious things from getting in. So financial industry does this the best. We significantly invest the resources to protect the banks. Municipalities, school systems, things like that don't quite have the resources, so it's common that they can get hacked and have ransomware and things like that. I think banks do a better job educating, right? We're putting resources out all the time, trying to give you tips, things to think about. How can you protect yourself? There's a wealth of information out there.
Yeah, and you mentioned emails and texting, and I bet every single day I get suspicious-looking texts on my cell phone. I get emails that I don't recognize. I get such a barrage of emails on my personal email account that half the time I'm not even sure where they're coming from or how this company or person even knows that that's my email. So I do feel like I'm pretty alert. A lot of it has to do with some of the tactics I know your group has trained me on. But I still know that, every day there's a new scam. There's something that sounds even more legitimate. So what are the things I should know to reduce the odds of becoming a victim?
So it starts with being skeptical, right? Understand what you're getting, why you're getting it. And if you can, validate the source yourself. Don't click on links in emails and texts. Go directly to the source. If you think it's from the bank, go to Johnson Financial Group's website yourself. Call the number yourself that you have on file. Don't accept the call.
Not the number from the text.
Not the number from the text. Now, this started years ago. The main scam was phishing. There's a lot of different names.
Phishing with a P, right?
Phishing with a PH. But the concept related to fishing is really telling. It's, a fisherman will throw a big net into the water, drag it back, and try to catch as much as he can. That's the concept behind fishing. The scammers will send thousands of emails, and I get them all the time. I had one today saying my Yahoo account was compromised. Well, I don't have a Yahoo account, so that's not going to impact me. But suddenly, if it does hit an account that I have, people start to think more that could be legitimate when it hits home. They're always trying to convey a sense of urgency, get you to act quickly, not think. You have to slow down. Emails and things can be spoofed. It looks like it's coming from iCloud or the bank. If you are online, hover over the link, and you'll see what the website or the email address is that it's coming from. Similar in a text, you can click on the number and see where it's actually coming from. And I think, so phishing is really about emails. And now over time, those scams have furthered. So you hear terms like vishing. Well, that's
Vishing with a V.
with a V. That's voice and phone call, right?
Okay.
Again, to protect yourself, don't ever answer a call you don't recognize the number. But you should still be skeptical because calls can be spoofed. So they can spoof it to look like it's coming from a number you do recognize. So then it becomes important to understand what is it they want. And I think there's some common things out there on what they're trying to do. Give up information because you trust the source. And then smishing, that's about SMS and text, but they're all the same scam. They're all about getting you to divulge information. We see it a lot with texting. I actually got one this morning saying I have overdue tolls from SunPass. Now, I certainly knew immediately it was a scam, but I did look it up. I don't even know what SunPass is. It's actually the Florida toll system. But again, they're sending thousands of these. At some point, someone will think, oh, maybe I was just in Florida. I better do something. I don't want to get a fine. I don't want to get a penalty. That's where they can trick you. But you should never click on a link in a text. A lot of times the links are very bogus. They could install malware, but more than likely they're going to direct you to a site.
So even clicking on it is a problem. So you see it, you delete it.
You should delete it. You should try to block it. You can block the number. Usually it'll come back in a different number. You're seeing it a lot in the bank side. You're getting a text saying there's suspicious activity or we're going to suspend your account. Immediately the reaction is, oh, there's urgency. I got to do something. That can't happen. It's just part of the scam. But look at the number. I mean, we see it a lot. I have examples of texts right now in front of me that we've had clients and other people that I know fall for. Their area codes are 903 and 214. I mean, that's Ohio and Michigan and California. We're a Wisconsin bank. You're not going to get a text from us from that kind of a number. So again, slow down. Think about what you're doing, what they're asking you to do.
We're not going to text you for an emergency. We're going
We
to
are
call
not going to text you. Yes.
You can call us back with the numbers you have, those kinds of things.
So exactly right. You are not going to get a call from an 800 number from the bank. You will get a call from a person. And if you're unsure, so your credit card, your debit card have 800 numbers on the back of them. If you're not sure what Johnson Bank's 800 number is, go online, look it up. You can also call your banker. And if you don't typically talk to a live banker regularly, it's on your statement, or just call your closest branch. They can direct you to the right person.
It's probably a good idea to have a relationship with a banker in this day and age, wouldn't you say?
And I think a lot of people do, but certainly some of the younger generation likes to do everything online. They don't think they need to talk to anybody.
Yeah, no, but that's helpful. So the perpetrators of these scams, they can be pretty sophisticated operations, right? Like this isn't just, or is it?
No, you're absolutely right. A lot of them are from other countries. A lot of them, these are run as businesses in some countries.
So they're going to continue to get more sophisticated, and
they will continue to get more sophisticated. You can go online to the dark web and learn how to get set up as your own fraud shop, and they will give you the tools to download ransomware and all. It's a business for a lot of these people. That's
frightening for a lot of folks. So we have to be more vigilant for sure.
We do.
So somebody was just telling me there is now everybody's using these QR codes to try to access information. I even see them on my television when I'm doing things. But now those are even being compromised. Is that right?
That's true. And again, this is a bit of a newer scam, but similarly, be careful what the QR code you're scanning. A lot of times they're downloading an app. Go directly to the app store on your phone to download any apps. Don't use a QR code. Understand where the QR code is. Again, if it's on a ESPN and it's trying to get you to sign up for a pay-per-view, it's probably legit.
If it's at a gas station pump, maybe look closer.
Exactly right. If you're at your cafe, the people post things, and some of them are, maybe it's a GoFundMe for a local family that's in need. But if there's a QR code Somebody could have just put that there. You're seeing it with parking meters. That's a way to park, but
Sure.
the bad guy can just throw a sticker on the parking meter with his own fraudulent QR code. You get them in junk mail. Just last night, I had multiple political ones in the mail, a window advertisement. All of them had a QR code. If it's junk mail, throw it in the garbage. If you're interested in what that window company is, go research it yourself.
Yeah, I sort my mail at the garbage can when I get it every day. So what about, there's something, it's a very unusual term, pig butchering. What does that mean?
So that is a thing, and it's fairly unique, fairly new. And the concept with that is they will first invest a lot of time in building trust with you. So instead of the quick scam, they will try to find a thread and develop a relationship with you. They knew someone you went to college with. They volunteer at the same charity, and they're just trying to connect with
So
you.
is this happening through social media, how is it?
It's largely social media. Again,
Okay.
professionals, they want people that they think have a lot of money. So on LinkedIn, they're going to target CEOs, CFOs, things like that. And they're going to develop an understanding of who you are from social media and profiles, and then and they will take months to do this, to develop that trust, build a relationship. The concept about pig butchering and that's the fattening up period, building that trust, and then the butchering is gutting the person. And it doesn't happen often, but when it does, it can be devastating. In 2023, there was a small bank in Kansas that the CEO fell for a scam like this. He lost a lot of money. He lost his daughter's college money.
Oh my God.
And then he embezzled from the bank to try to cover his tracks, and the bank failed, and now he's doing 20 years in prison. Again, a CEO actually fell for that. It's rare, but again, vulnerable people can fall for these things. Typically, they will have an investment scam component to it.
So I know my mother got a call with some urgency about her grandson being in an accident, and they wanted to wire. Luckily, she didn't do that, but as I jokingly say, anybody could call about me, and my mom would go, I'm not worried about it. But the grandson, she would move heaven and earth. And so they are praying with this urgency and this kind of vulnerable person and what that really would cause them to try to act and provide information or money, right? Dollars.
Exactly right. Again, and they're doing this to hundreds and hundreds of the elderly, and a good percentage of them are not going to do that. Some might say, well, call your parents, good luck with that. Others may want to help protect that child. And if they're confused, their capacity is starting to diminish, they're going to be more susceptible to
Even more susceptible.
Yeah.
And my mother is an extremely bright and active 79-year-old, but she also is a very responsible bill payer and, worries about her finances. So any kind of text or email that would say, hey, you owe this, or your credit is at risk, you need to pay, would cause her, to really want to resolve that issue. They're really preying on even some of the most responsible and very intelligent people can fall into this.
They are, and that's why, we have to step in and try to protect our parents. And again, it depends on where they are. There's certainly some, even though they're in that elderly category, that are still, with it and even have some technological savvy with. My parents are not like that. So I basically tell them, don't answer the calls, don't answer a text. Give it to me, I'll deal with it. I'm reviewing their accounts, I look at their information. But I basically tell them not to do anything without getting my approval.
Right. It's really important that we're there, but it's not just the elderly that are being really vulnerable to some of these scams. We've now started to see an increase in younger people, correct?
We are, and I think, the younger generation, multitasking, multiple social media, multiple platforms, multiple applications, constantly doing 5 things at once. I think certainly have less world experience, have more optimism, so they think nothing bad's ever going to happen to them. And so they can be more vulnerable. They certainly trust technology more, but the scam side piece of it is, again, you have to slow down, think about what you're doing. don't hesitate to ask mom and dad for advice. They do sometimes know what they're talking about.
Yeah, and there's also this concern, and I've seen this with some of my clients who have been taken advantage of by some of these scammers, this feeling that it was a stupid thing to do, and so people not wanting to come forward, essentially blaming themselves as the victim. But it's really important that people come forward, right? That if they've been the victim, that they do this, that they at least reach out.
It's absolutely important. And
Yeah.
again, if you work with your financial institution, we will try to recover the money. So there's still certainly options. You certainly want to work with law enforcement, file a police report. There's other things you still potentially need to do depending on what the scam was. Was it just some funds were stolen? Was your identity stolen? Well, now we need to think about your credit bureaus and putting fraud alerts, freezing your credit, things like that. So depending on what happens, there's additional steps that could be needed to be taken, and that's why it's really important to come forward. And certainly we've talked about it here. You're not the only one that's had this happen.
Right.
I get it can be embarrassing, it can be devastating, but in order to even potentially have a chance at stopping the bad guys, you got to come forward and work with the people that can help you try to rebuild and protect you.
Would you also say we have to become a little bit more private in what we're doing? I noticed on a couple of social media sites, I was on Facebook, and there's always these tempting little games that will pop up and say, what's your favorite dog, or what was your favorite city that you ever lived in? And people are so eager to connect and kind of answer those questions, but it occurs to me that those are some pretty interesting ways to gather information that put together would really allow you to maybe have more than what you should.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, if you are familiar with various email and accounts and you could be medical providers, your online banking, when you forget your password, in order to be able to reset it, there are challenge questions you may be asked. And those are very common ones. They want you to answer a question that only you'll know the answer to. What street did you grow up on? It's very common to do that, to try to have a user experience to be able to easily still get in. But again, that connection of, why would you want to share that? What's the source?
Kind of pause. Why are you doing that?
Why
Right.
are you doing that?
That makes sense. So we are approaching the holidays. So I would expect this would become a hot time for scammers to really start to pick up the pace. Would that be accurate?
Well, the scams are 24/7, 365. But certainly, during the holidays, you're going to see some more that are targeted around what people are looking for, during the Christmas and other holidays. A delivery of packages. There's a
Okay.
problem with your package. Those become more common. Try to, have you click on something that, what's going on with that toy
Yeah.
I'm waiting for from the grandkid.
Yeah. So the likelihood someone is expecting someone and it connects is probably heightened during those periods of time.
Yeah, you're going to see more, travel deals, things like that. You're going to see more. They know what the hot tickets are, whether it's the PS5 or the Tickle Me Elmo.
Oh, sure.
And they're hard to come by, so there's going to be a pop-up site that you can find it here when you can't find it at any other location. You got to trust that, you should really use the more well-known retailers and things, because, again, they're going to pull on those threads and eventually find one that's going to connect with you. And all of us are vulnerable to this. A good
Well,
story.
we're all looking for a deal, right?
Yeah. Years ago, when my wife would do some online shopping, she would always use my email, and because she didn't want to get bombarded with, we're processing your order, it's almost ready, we're shipping your order, it'll be there in 2 days, and you just get bombarded. Well, I pretty much was irritated by that and told her to stop, I got a email from FedEx saying there's a problem with your package. Because I was irritated by what had been happening, my immediate reaction was, what did my wife buy now? I was vulnerable to that. Now, I didn't click on anything. Fortunately, what I did was call up my wife and yell at her and say, what did you buy now? And she said, I didn't buy anything.
So then you had to thank her.
Thank her, and then go back and look at the email and see all the warning signs.
Right.
It really wasn't from FedEx. So
Right.
again, back to as much as I live in this space,
We're all vulnerable.
we're vulnerable. And again, slow down, think about what you're doing.
So when we look at some of the things that'll happen over the next couple of months, especially with the holidays, free offers, sales that look too good to be true. I noticed, I think it was about a year ago, some companies that were going out of business, I noticed they had these ridiculous offers to send money and you would get these dirt cheap prices on very expensive items, which none of it looked legit when I looked at what the source was. So people should really be on the alert for if it looks too good to be true, it probably isn't, kind of thing.
That's a very common saying, and I would say it again, it always comes to fruition if it's too good to be true. And that goes to, there's going to be seasonal job opportunities. Again, what is it exactly that means? Because if you don't have to do very much and you can get paid, that's going to be a scam. There's no such thing as free money, right? But somebody who's vulnerable and needs money for the holidays, maybe out of work, more susceptible to fall for something like that.
Sure, fills out a false application, gives private information.
Right. And I think one of the points I want to make too that we haven't hit on is, and as it relates to some of the texts and things, your medical provider, your email provider, and especially banks are not going to ask you for your ID, your password, your PIN, your online access code. As you know, you get a lot of multi-factor access codes that are another layer of security. We aren't going to ask for that. But we are seeing very much an influx of, this is your bank, where you have fraud on your account. To block your account, type in your user ID and password and hit opt out. And there are individuals that do that. Again, the bank will never ask you for that information.
And anybody who does, the first thing you do is call and confirm.
The immediate thing you should do when someone's asking for your password or your code is hang up, stop. It's a scam. Only scammers ask for that information.
So what kind of advice can you give to folks to protect themselves? I know you talk a lot about strong passwords, but I don't know that we all know what that really means. So
there are a number of things. Yeah, I think you want to keep you have antivirus on your computer and keep those signatures up to date. Those things can do a lot to protect from fraudulent websites. Most of the email providers do a pretty good job of blocking things already, and they just go to your junk folder.
How often should the virus protection be updated, or do you buy one that just does that?
Yeah,
constantly
most of them that will do that, and there's tons of providers out there that do it well.
Okay.
You want to, all of the applications that you have, you should use a strong password. Now, you shouldn't reuse passwords. You shouldn't use passwords the same for all your important stuff. And when I say strong passwords, right, don't use Packers 2024, so things like that, fall 2024. Use a password application manager, something like LastPass. Those are password vaults that will create the password for you, as many characters you want, and then you just have to get into your vault and it will populate the password for you. Some cases, if you don't want to use that, use more of a password phrase, something that's longer.
A sentence kind of thing?
A sentence, yeah. That might be something that's easy for you to remember.
And should they always include numbers, apostrophes, characters?
So if it's a long password, not necessarily.
Okay.
It's certainly good practice too, but again, the longer the password, it's not as critical to use numbers and characters along with it. I recommend using multi-factor authentication. A good example, my personal email is on my phone. It recognizes the device, right? You go in your phone, Face ID, go right in. I have not logged into my email from my home computer in a long time. It didn't recognize me. It made me not only put in my ID and password, but I got a text code to implement. That's an extra layer to protect you so that if your password is compromised, you still have some protection because that code is only going to your phone. The scammer shouldn't get it. And so don't give it out if somebody asks for it. It should only be input online in the mobile app. There's a specific place when you're doing something where that should go.
I know that that people get frustrated because it becomes inconvenient, even when the bank says you have to change your password. But this is all for our protection to make it harder, right? Like taking these extra steps, whether it be multi-factor authentication or it just changing your password on a regular basis really makes it harder, doesn't it?
It does. And again, if you think at any time there might be potential compromise, change it. But yeah, again, there's always a balance between the user experience and security. And it seems to continue to have this tug and push-pull. And I personally believe we got to be able to have both.
Right.
And similarly, when you do get, I get emails, I know it's from my medical provider saying I have a bill due. I don't click on it to pay the bill. I go to the app myself.
Right.
It's a couple extra minutes. Some would say, why do that? That's extra. It's just going to make you safer.
Absolutely. So if someone does fall victim to a scam, what are some of the first steps they should do?
So it depends on what it is, right?
Okay.
Did you just lose money? Is it your credit card? It is potentially identity theft. There's multiple steps to this, but certainly you're going to want to get a hold of the bank or the credit card company and get the card deactivated, freeze your accounts. If there's identity theft, you're going to want to contact the credit bureaus, things like that. You're going to want to file a police report, potentially, maybe an identity theft complaint with the the FTC. We have resources on the Johnson Financial Group website. Down at the bottom, there's a link for security. But if you type in security or fraud in the search bar, there's tips and checklists and all kinds of things. You certainly can call a banker to help you through some of it as well.
That's great to know. And most financial institutions will have some of those things, I would imagine, on their sites.
Absolutely,
to help clients. So people should just take advantage of those resources to be aware. And those are updated pretty regularly, too, as things change, aren't they?
Yes.
This is great information. Is there anything else, Todd, that you want to share with the listeners?
I think we covered it all.
Be vigilant. Don't give the information away.
Again, it's a shame to say that, again, you should have a skeptical attitude with a lot of things, but to protect yourself, you really have to. And again, they're going to try to rush you, make it sound urgent, make it sound important. You need to act now. Slow down, think about what you're doing. And again, don't ever give out your credentials online, on the phone, from a random, unexpected email, text, phone call. Banks aren't going to ask for that.
This makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thanks to all of you for listening. If you have questions you'd like us to explore, please go to the show notes, type your question, and hit submit. And thank you for joining us at Your Money, Your Mission, the podcast designed to take complex financial situations and turn it into actionable advice, powered by Johnson Financial Group.
Products and services offered by these Johnson Financial Group companies, Johnson Bank and Johnson Wealth, Inc. Johnson Bank is a member FDIC, equal housing lender. Wealth management services are provided through Johnson Bank and Johnson Wealth, Inc., Johnson Financial Group companies. Additional information about Johnson Wealth, Inc., a registered investment advisor, and its investment advisor representatives is available at adviserinfo.sec.gov. Not FDIC insured, no bank guarantee, may lose value.